Good morning. This is your stats sensei, Mr. Spensey, and this is an exit ticket on the inverse norm. So suppose the mean and board expenses per year at a certain university is $7,850. You randomly select 9 dorms offering room and board near the college. Assume that the room and board expenses are normally distributed with a standard deviation of 1,125. So our important information, normally distributed, 1,125. We may need that sample size. All right. So let's go ahead. Mean 7,850. Standard deviation 1,125, and N equals 9. So what is the cost associated with the upper 10% of the room and board? Well, anytime they give you an area, a percent, or probability, which is what they gave me a percent, we're going to be working with an inverse norm. All right. So we're going to be working with the inverse norm. And the question is, are we working with a z-score or actual values? Well, it didn't say anything about z-score, so it must be actual values. And so we want the actual costs associated with the upper 10%. Well, the upper 10% is right here. So this is 0.10. All right. Well, our mean is still 7,850. So let's go see what the calculator has to say. So we're going to go to a different place on the calculator. It's going to be called an inverse norm, and I'm going to go ahead and write that down. Inverse norm. And you're going to get there by pressing second vars. So second and vars, which is the distributions. And you're going to scroll down, I guess it's number 3, and it's inverse norm. And the very first thing is it asks for the area. And this is why I said app. Area, percent, or probability. Area, percent, or probability. If it asks for one of those things, we're going to an inverse norm. Well, the area it asked for is what we just shaded, which is 0.10. The next thing it asked for was the mean, and then it follows it up by the standard deviation. Well, the mean in this case is 7,850, and the standard deviation is 1,125. So this is my area. This is my mean. And this is my standard deviation. So I'm going to go ahead and put that information in. 0.1, 7,850, and 1,125. Now, please note, our calculator's fancy, so we have left, center, and right. So we're looking for the upper, which is here. And when we do that, we get $9,291. And we're going to go ahead and truncate this at 74 cents. 9,291.74. It really rounds up to 75 cents. So 74 or 75 cents. All right. If you want to truncate, that's probably better. All right. Some calculators don't have that upper feature to it, and you have to work with a lower feature. And they all have that. And the area right here is 0.90. So I'm going to run this one more time where it asks for it differently. In which case, I'm going to go second vars. This is if your calculator is different. Second vars is inverse norm, and we're going to go 0.9. And all calculators will at least do it from the left. And from the left, we're talking about, hey, we wanted to know what this area is right here. Well, it's 0.9. We're coming from the left. And you're going to see that we're going to get the exact same value. $9,291.75. Okay? All right. So what is the z-score associated with the upper 10%? So now they're asking for the z-score. One thing you have to remember about z-scores is the mean and standard deviation for all z-scores is 1. So in this case, My mean is not 7,850 because we're asking for a z-score. We still want the upper 10%. So if they ask for an area, you're going to go, oh, it's an app. Therefore, so I have to go to inverse norm. And the very first thing they ask for is the area, which is 0.10. I'm just going to write a percent sign because that's quicker. The mean is 0. And the standard deviation is 1 because we're working with a z-score. All z-scores will have a mean of 0 to standard deviation of 1. So second vars, inverse norm, area 0.10, mean of 0, standard deviation of 1, and we shaded from the top down, so we're shading from the right. And we get a z-score equal to 1.2815. And we need to take this out 4 decimal places for a z-score. Now, once again, not all calculators have the left right. If they don't, then they're going to be working from the left. And this area right here is 0.90. And it'll have to work from the left. If I do it from the left, it's the same thing, second vars, inverse norm. But now this is going to be an area of 0.9 because I'm working from the left. And there's that 1.28. And basically that means this value right here is 1.2815. We just found the location of that z-score. All right. The next one, what is the cost associated with the lowest 20% of the room and board? All right. So we draw our normal curve. We're talking about an actual value. We're not asking for a z-score. So our actual mean was 7,850. And our mean's at 50%, and we want only 20%. So we know we're going to be below it. So I'll just take this little area right there, and I'll just pretend like that is 20% or 0.20. Since they gave me an app, if they give you an area, a percent, or probability, area, percent, or probability, then I need to come in and use the inverse norm. And the first thing it's going to ask me for is my area. Well, my area in this case is 0.20. My mean is 7,850. And my standard deviation is the 1,125. So this is, again, my percent. This is my mean. And this is my standard deviation. And when we go ahead and plug that in, second vars, inverse norm, mean of 0.2, standard deviation, mean of area of 0.2 or 20%, 7,850. The standard deviation is 1125. And this time we are actually shading from the left. We're actually shading from the left. And we end up getting $6,903. So my answer is $6,903.17. So 0.17. And that means this value right here is 6,903. That's what we found. Now, if your calculator only works from the left, guess what? You're good. Now this area up here is 0.80. And we could have worked it from the right, but I know all the calculators will work from the left. So we won't do that twice. So the next one, it says, what is the z-score associated with the lowest 20%? Once again, we're asking for a z-score. Please remember, all z-scores have a mean equal to 0 and a standard deviation equal to 1. So when I go ahead and draw this picture, My mean is not 7,850, it's 0. We're looking for an area of 0.20. Don't forget this area up here is 0.80, but all we care about is that. And I'm looking for a z-score right there. So anytime they give you an area percent of probability, they give you an app, you're going to go do an inverse norm. So my inverse norm is 0.20. That's my area. That's the first thing they'll ask for. The next thing they'll ask for is my mean. All z-scores have a mean of 0, and then they have a standard deviation of 1. Mean, standard deviation. Second vars, inverse norm, mean is 0. Oh, area 0.2, mean is 0, standard deviation of 1. And we're starting at the left, so we're shading from the left, so we need to press enter a couple times. And we end up getting a negative z-score. And that makes sense. We're below 0, so we have a negative 8.8416. So that's my answer. So z equals negative 0.8416. And that means this value right here is negative 0.8416. That's that z-score right there. Again, we're working from the left, and I know that all the calculators will work from the left. So you should be good to go with that. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you on the next one.